All right, y'all, back again with another video, and I just gotta keep it real. I haven't done one of these in a little bit here. Let me adjust. Matter of fact, hold on, I'm adjust the outside lighting. All right, I couldn't get the light the way I wanted it outside, so I'm gonna do it this way. So, like I said, I hadn't did one of these videos in a while, but before the season started, before we had clarity on what was going to happen, there was a lot of speculation about Lonzo's position on the team. And my position was always we will know based on the actions they make. They drafted Kira. We've had all this media hoopla about trading Zoe. We've had all this media hoopla about non-Kira. Believe it or not, some of these guys who are on Nas nuts have fallen back a little bit, but they still holding steady. But the Kira bandwagon is still strong. And they want to build a team around B.I. and Zion. That's ultimately what it is at the end of the day, and they want the pieces to fit. Does Lonzo Ball fit with this team? Or does he fit with them? And the answer to that, unfortunately, is no. For what Lonzo needs would mean taking the ball away from Zion and B.I. And even if it would have a retroactive benefit for them, they don't want anybody else taking the ball out of their hands. Those are their guys. That's who they're hitching their wagon to. So what do if you're the front office, right? The Pelicans, matter of fact, let me sit here and pull it up. I don't want to give y'all incorrect information here. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Pelicans are 8-12 now. 8-12. Good for 14th in the West. The only other team behind them is the Timberwolves, who are 5-16. Okay. So on Saturday, you could trade players that you acquired, it's like 3 months ago or before the season started, doing all the trades and stuff. So players like not Bradley Beal, Victor Oladipo, he can be traded. Bledsoe, he can be traded, right? And here's your thing, right? You're 8-12. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can pull up the standings for the season so far. Okay. Got East and West. Okay. So the top 8 are Jazz, Clips, Lakes, Nuggets, Grizzlies, surprisingly, Suns, Trailblazers, and Spurs, surprisingly as well. Then you got, playing game is Warriors and Rockets are 9th and 10th. Then you got the Kings at 10 and 11, Thunder at 9 and 11, Mavs at 9 and 13, and then the Pelicans at 8 and 12, number 14. Let's see, they have one more game, right, before the 6 hits. So if they win that game, they're 9 and 12. Depending on what happens with the Mavs and the Thunder here, and I don't even know who our next game is. We play the Pacers again without Victor Oladipo. Okay. So you're already number 14, right? If you missed the playoffs and you were number 14, you got a chance for a high draft pick. There's some potential candidates you would want, like Cade Cunningham, yada, 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 which wouldn't make sense to me if you already have Kira, but The thing here you got to look at is this: if you're the Pelicans, granted, let's talk about these records here because there's a lot of inconsistency because some teams have missed a ton of games due to COVID protocol. Like, look at this: Jazz have 21 total games played, Clippers have 23 total games played. But you look down here, you got the Grizzlies in fifth place with a record of 9-7. They've only played 16 games. So we're talking between 5 to 7 games difference here between some of this. You know what I'm saying? And then, the 10th place Rockets are a 500 team. They're 10-10. They're 10-10 and in 10th place. The Warriors are ahead of them by one win, literally. You know what I'm saying? The Pels have 20 games. So there's going to be some games. There's going to be some teams with some inconsistency here. But the main point is the Pelicans are the 14th team. And is it better for them to stay at 14 to get the high draft pick? Or should they push for the playoffs or the play-in game? Truth be told, they're like 2.5, 3 games out. What would you do if you're the front office? If you keep Lonzo, Lonzo's going to contribute to winning, right? Maybe if this team was one of these other teams that it was like 18-3 or something like that, you'd be like, okay, you keep what you have and you don't move. But at this point, right now in this shortened season, and you got Stan first year, you're trying to get these guys continuity and build chemistry and stuff. Lonzo, his contract and his contract demands are not going to be satisfied by the Pelicans. And they just paid Steven Adams this money. The Pelicans they're cash strapped. They don't really have a whole lot of moves they can make. So they're going to have to trade and get back cheaper assets or picks versus actually getting certain players, unless these are players that would fit long term and are on the cheap. So I'm going to look for the Pels to move off Lonzo Ball. They have several reasons to do that. One, they don't want to have to pay him. And two, he's not a part of their future, clearly. 3, they just drafted Kira, and he's basically, if you look at it, B.I. will be the oldest member of this team in their prime, technically. And Kira's a year under Zion. He's 19. Zion's 20. And you got Null. At this point, if you're number 14, you probably just want to get these guys experience and continuity. Winning basketball games probably doesn't matter at this point, and Lonzo contributes too much to winning. They're a much better team statistically with him. They have a higher win percentage with Lonzo than without. Those 3 games are a testament to that he missed. So Lonzo they'll try to move him. And we've heard recently there's a lot of teams who are looking to acquire Lonzo. I could see a situation where even if they didn't move JJ, let's say some teams didn't want JJ because of the shooting slump this year, I could see some teams agreeing to take someone like Melly just to take Lonzo and give the Pelicans back something they want or something they need. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying all this to say Lonzo will not be a Pelican by the end of the year. They are going to try to tank to get Cade Cunningham. And as much as I think Zion and B.I. would like to keep Lonzo, they're not going to dictate this. The question I would ask is, how is the moving of Zoe going to impact Zion's and B.I.'s willingness to stay here long term? Granted, B.I. just re-signed his deal, and he has the trade kicker that is there for a reason. I think the Pelicans' main goal is to either try to get a prospect that they can play alongside of Zion and B.I., or to try to leverage their pick and an asset to get a star player that they can put next to them and compete the following year. if I'm not mistaken, Steven Adams' contract goes from like 27 to 17, so they say 10 million starting next year. Um, you know, I, I'm being honest, guys. There's no way. Let's just say because the trade, I think they have until the 31st of. Let me see. I think they have. I don't remember how this shit works because this is so thrown off this year. I think they either have to the 30 something of March or the beginning of March. I can't remember. But here's the thing: you basically saying you got a whole nother month. You got a whole nother month. How much better is this Pels record gonna get? Let me go here and look at the standings. Well, let me go look at the games. Um, let's see. Pelicans schedule. Okay. Let me actually go to their website. And keep in mind the Pelicans. Okay, yeah. So they haven't added the second part of the schedule yet. This goes all the way out till March 4th, and that last game is a home game against Miami, right? So let's just look at where they're at. They got the Pacers Friday, then they got Memphis, then they got Houston again, and then they have Chicago and Dallas, right? Um, this game versus the Pacers is an away game, and then they got two more home games. Um, again against Rockets and against Memphis. They should beat. They should be 2-0 these next two games. They should probably lose to the Rockets again. They should probably beat Chicago, so that makes them 3-1. And the way the Mavs have been playing, it depends on how they catch up. Because my team is struggling between they got destroyed by COVID, so they probably should beat the Mavs. If they're still willing, then they get Detroit. They're going to get a lot of wins. Just looking at this, assuming they play well, it's possible that I could see them losing to the Pacers again, though, even without Oladipo. I could see them losing to Memphis due to their inconsistency, and I already have them pitched to lose to Houston. I could also see them being weird as fuck and losing both the Pacers and Memphis game and beating Houston somehow, which would be very Pels-like. But if I had to pin this down, Lonzo is probably out of here no later than February. The second Memphis game, which is Tuesday, February 16th. If you keep Lonzo here too long, you're going to run a risk because you're going to play a lot of good teams after that. Portland, Phoenix, Boston, Detroit again, Milwaukee again, who's going to look to get revenge, and that's an away game. They're going to lose that one. The Spurs again, the Jazz, the Bull, and then the Heat. Like you're going to get a gauntlet of games, and some of this you're not going to get much of a break. You got a back-to-back Detroit, Milwaukee. That's a back-to-back. You got a back-to-back with Chicago and Miami in March. Let me look at the schedule. Let's see how many back-to-backs they got. Yeah, they got a back-to-back. They get 3 days off. Okay, so let me do it this way. They got a back-to-back starting Friday and Saturday. They play the Pacers, and then they play Memphis, right? And then they got 3 days break before they play the Rockets, and then a back-to-back again against Chicago. And this schedule's going to be brutal. They're about to do a lot of traveling. So they're going to go through the gauntlet. I do not think Lonzo will be on this roster by Tuesday, February 16th. If they're going to go for Cade Cunningham or any of those other prospects, they need him off the roster immediately. Because the longer they keep him, he's going to affect their winning. And it's going to prevent them from actually getting where they want to be in the draft in a good position. JJ played a couple minutes yesterday. He really didn't do too much. Look, he's not a part of their future. It doesn't matter what we say. Only way he would be a part of their future is if Lonzo goes on like this streak of like 20 something plus games and they go on like a 5-10 game win streak. And then you got to look at it. But they may even look to trade him anyway, just for the simple fact that he would get higher value because now you can command more. Hey, well, he's averaging 25 points over the last couple games. So, instead you probably could have gave us Kelly Oubre, but, we're going to need someone who's like a Klay Thompson level player now, because that's what he is. He's clearly that. Why would we want to give him to you? That would be the argument. Which, let me go back here and look at this. They started putting the ball more in his hands a couple games ago. Let's see. They postponed that Spurs game. I think that game against... Yeah, because the Clippers game, he was out. The Lakers game, he was out. And he missed the first game against the Kings. And then he came back, yeah. So they started putting the ball in his hands more so after he came back. But they really started giving him the ball around that Bill game, which they won handedly. And then they won against Milwaukee. And yes, they lost the game to Houston. That was a back-to-back. But I predicted that. That's a schedule loss. And then they lost again to the Kings because of, hey, let's just take Lonzo and put him on Buddy and leave Bledsoe to get cooked by Fox. They probably didn't think they were going to win this game against Phoenix, so they surprised them, which gave them a win. And so we'll see what happens, how they play this game Friday against the Pacers. But yeah, Saturday, which back-to-back, and that's a home game. That's when Bledsoe is available to trade. That's when Oladipo is available to trade. I expect trade rumors to start ramping up this evening into tomorrow, but especially on Saturday, I expect to hear a lot. Like I said, I don't see him being around here much longer. I'm giving him until Tuesday, February 16th. If they haven't hashed out a deal by then, I don't know if the deal's going to get done. But again, I don't know the final dates for trades because this season has been wacky. So, with that being said, this is my take on it for right now. We'll see what happens, but I just don't see how he sticks around past that game. If he sticks around, and they're somehow a 500 team, I don't see how you just don't roll the dice. I just don't see how you don't roll the dice, especially if his averages are kicking up and he's starting to hit. Because I predict around this second game with Phoenix here on February 19th, around somewhere between there and that Detroit game, Lonzo is going to have figured it out for this season and he's going to ascend. We'll see what happens. But like I said, he's not going to be here. He's going to be out of here. Gone. They don't want him, and it's good for him. We'll see what happens. We'll see, because they said 10 teams wanted him. I got to tell you, man, these last couple games have done nothing but improve his stock. Like, he's been so much better recently that if I'm teams, I'm buying on Lonzo Ball. I'm buying low, and he's a low risk, low reward. You can take him for the rest of the season, see what you get out of him, and then let him hit free agency. I'm sure the Pels are going to try to get what they can for him. I'm pretty sure Rich Paul is going to have a hand in trying to manipulate the trade market so they can get him where they need him so he can get his money. We'll see. It's possible they may give him a deal where he has to get, like, it's a 2-year deal where he can opt out of one. And it's like, okay, prove it. And if he proves it, then he can get the bag the year after that. So not all is lost. That's likely what I would do if I'm Rich Paul, depending on what kind of team they send him to. There's a lot of teams that need him right now. Miami definitely. Golden State. Orlando has injuries after Wazoo. There's so many teams here that could use his presence because Clippers the other night could have used him. Uh, so many teams over here who could really value and use Lonzo's presence right now. So that's all I got. Y'all have a good one. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.